It's Tuesday, the 20th of January. From the MEN newsroom, this is Channel M's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. An historic moment. The countdown to the inauguration of the new President of the United States of America has begun.
I think Barack Obama has provided huge inspiration for people of all races, all cultures.
It gives you hope, you know, whether you're black, white, Asian, it allows you to be saying, I can do it, I've got a chance.
Trouble at City. Kaka turns his back on the club's cash, while Robinho turns his back on training.
Well, there's never a dull moment down here at Eastlands. It's certainly been an interesting 24 hours where Manchester City are concerned. The more worrying thing for Manchester City at the moment is the whereabouts of their star man, the Brazilian striker Robinho.
Manchester police chiefs foil Big Mac raid. Good afternoon. First this lunchtime. History will be made later when Barack Obama is sworn in as America's first black president. The ceremony takes place late afternoon our time in Washington, D.C. The event is attracting global interest, and the Right Reverend Rogers Govender spoke of its significance on our breakfast show this morning.
I think Barack Obama has provided huge inspiration for people of all races, all cultures, all over the world, and of course not least in this country, and dare I say in this city. He's become an absolute iconic leader and a real sign, an example of the underdog really getting ahead and people giving the underdog a chance. And I see him as a huge inspiration for our black and Asian folk, indeed for all of our folk, because he's such a reconciling leader, and he's somebody that everybody wants to aspire to be.
Reaction from our leading clerics, and James Webster's been out to meet ordinary Americans living in Manchester to get their thoughts.
It may be happening some 3,500 miles away from here, but Barack Obama's inauguration's a big deal for Americans no matter where they are. Millions are in Washington to see it in person, and millions more are watching on TV screens worldwide. Here in Greater Manchester is no exception. John and Peter are both young Americans living over here who followed the election campaign from beginning to end.
Obama was a sensible candidate. I like the message he's brought, the inspiration, hope, change, all these things. Like, definitely need to have a radical departure from the last 8 years. And I think he can offer that.
The big thing is people are looking for something different and something new, and it's kind of this is a way that a lot of people have been able to get inspired by, hoping that whatever happens will be different and that we can move forward from here.
Something had to be done. There was no way we could continue on the path we cut our ties and allies with everyone else in the world. We'd lost our global standing of decency. We needed to do something dramatic, and we've done just that.
Barack Obama's image in the media couldn't be more different from that of his predecessor. For years, George Bush has been mocked on TV for the gaffes he's made.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
The best way to defeat this enemy in the long run is to deny them the recruiting tools that are and recruitments made possible by resentment.
You kind of have to cringe every time he gets up and speaks, and I think there's multiple late-night talk shows that they have parts where on the show where they just week after week just play a different part where he's messed up on his speech.
That House Republicans last fall passed strong earmark reform ideas.
The last hope he had, the last 6 months of his presidency, he said, all right, my legacy is going to be he's going to sort out the Middle East. And what happens? 3 weeks ago, war kicks off. So that was his last chance at a positive legacy. And what has he left us with? Nothing but disaster and despair.
Barack Obama's inauguration is a date he's worked towards for years. All that preparation is now over, but this isn't the end. Far from it. For him, America, and indeed the world, this is just the beginning of a whole new era. James Webster, Channel M News.
Thanks, James. And we'll have more on the inauguration of Mr. Obama later in the programme. The body of a Stockport Marine killed in Afghanistan is being flown home today. 28-year-old Corporal Danny Winter from Marple was killed along with 2 other colleagues in an explosion in central Helmand on January the 14th. The bodies are being flown to RAF Lynham in Wiltshire. An investigation is underway to discover whether they were killed by friendly fire. And the latest soldier to be killed in southern Afghanistan has also been named today. He was 21-year-old Acting Corporal Richard Robinson, who was originally from Saltash in Cornwall. He died in an ambush on Saturday. Other news now, and Manchester City are reeling this lunchtime after a double blow. No sooner had the record-breaking bid to buy Brazilian player Kaka from Inter Milan been abandoned, it's emerged the Blues' record signing Robinho has walked out on the club. Here's our Breakfast Show sports reporter Will Perry at Eastlands.
Well, there's never a dull moment down here at Eastlands. It's certainly been an interesting 24 hours where Manchester City are concerned. The more worrying thing for Manchester City at the moment is the whereabouts of their star man, the Brazilian striker Robinho. It's reported that he has left the training camp with Manchester City in Tenerife. The club have confirmed that. They're not confirming why he's left, although there are reports that he's fallen out with manager Mark Hughes. He celebrates his 25th birthday this weekend. It remains to be seen where he'll celebrate that. It could well be back in Brazil. It was also understand that he's on his way back to his homeland. As for Kaka, that deal seems dead in the water. Reports across all the papers this morning claiming that Manchester City have failed in their attempts to bring the Brazilian to Eastlands. Again, that might be involved in why Robinho's absence. We're still not sure at this moment, but they'll have to be consoled with the arrival of Craig Bellamy. Of course, they take on Newcastle next Wednesday here at Eastlands. A £14 million undisclosed fee, believed to be £14 million. So it'll be an interesting week, I'm sure, for Manchester City. Will Perry, Channel M News, Eastlands.
Thanks, Will. And Sam will have more sport for us in a couple of minutes. More news now, and a Manchester man ordered to leave Canada after he was left disabled following an accident has arrived back at Manchester Airport this morning. Chris Mason, a lorry driver who couldn't work because of a disability, was judged to be a burden on the economy. Channel M were the first to speak to him upon his return to the UK.
After my spinal cord injury and everything, my support network, my friends, everybody, I have a family over there, and, they're your support network and everything like that. And, that's what I'm going to miss. I don't have that network of support anymore. And, that's one thing what the immigration system didn't understand, that, yes, I was having that struggle with working. And, I couldn't get to work, and I was dealing with an automobile accident claim at the time. That, that's the type of thing I'm going to miss.
Mr Mason, whose family comes from Wythenshawe, has been living in Canada for 8 years, but lost the use of both legs after he was hit by a taxi in 2003. He was ordered out of the country when his work permit expired, and he couldn't carry on working as a lorry driver because of his disability. We'll have more on this in our early evening news at 5. Police have questioned 3 people on suspicion of murder after a 25-year-old man fell from a block of flats on Flora Street in Oldham early on Saturday. 2 women aged 44 and 33 and a 37-year-old man have been bailed until March pending further inquiries. Medals from the First and Second World Wars have been stolen in a burglary at a house in Sale. A World War I campaign medal with the name H.J. Earl inscribed on the back and a World War II campaign medal with no inscription was stolen in the break-in on Wolsey Road. Now, they say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but as Beverly Walkden's been finding out, that's not true of one chippy in Bury.
Fish and chips, please. There you go, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. My mate just told me, so I thought we'd come and see if it was true after college.
Surprised how people will queue for a free bag of fish and chips?
Yeah, I came before and it was too busy, so I've just come back now. It's a bit quiet, like.
We had it last week, so if I'll come back again. So what's the whole office been saying?
Oh, they really like it. Proper nice fish here.
Now you may think there's a catch, a fish and chip shop giving out, well, free fish and chips, but not so. In fact, it's not only helping cash-strapped customers through this credit crunch, it's also helping business boom. Do you think it's actually working as a marketing tool?
Definitely. The bookings in the restaurant in the evenings are going through the roof.
The free lunch is served between 11:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. and ends this Thursday, by which time Suzanne reckons customers will have munched their way through 5,000 portions of fish and chips.
Yeah.
Is this your first?
No, I've been once before, actually, last week.
And how do you rate the fish and chips?
Very good indeed. In fact, it's enough for two of us, actually.
A lot of people from my work have heard about the offer and are coming down to cash in.
Really? So how long have you been coming here then since the offer started?
Well, this is my second time, but I know of some people who have come down every day.
It's a hard time for everybody with the credit crunch. People are sometimes perhaps a little bit reticent about trying something, and if they can have it for free, it's wonderful. They think, oh yeah, I'll go, I'll give it a whirl. And they're coming and they're thinking, well, yeah, actually, I'm quite happy now to go and spend my money there. Now I know that I'm getting good quality, proper food.
So when the chips are down, head to the Metro in Bury. Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
Right, let's take a look at the sports headline now. Here's Sam Goodman with the latest.
Thank you, Georgia. Well, as we just heard a moment ago from Will regarding Kaka and Robinho, Stockport manager Jim Gannon was concerned about the amount of money Manchester City were willing to spend on a single player and how it could affect their fans and smaller clubs.
Again, this has been coming for quite a while, hasn't it, in terms of football. My biggest concern is that clubs like ourselves, who are developing fantastic young players, are running out of money because they're not getting enough from the TV, and then yet the top clubs are getting £50 million a year. The game is not balanced. I don't think it's great for the game, the imbalance in the financial payout from the TV. But I understand business. It's a capital business, and the money's at the top. Whether it's good for the game, I don't know. I just hope that the people at Man City at least consider one thing, is reducing the price for their fans, and that would be a great gesture during this difficult time, because I don't want Man City fans not to be able to go to watch them when they start doubling the prices like other clubs have, when they get the quality players and they start charging the fans for that.
Well, away from all the negativity, there is some good news over at Eastlands. Last night, the club finally signed West Ham striker Craig Bellamy for a fee thought to be around £14 million. The 29-year-old could make his debut against former club Newcastle a week on Wednesday. Well, over to the Reds, and Manchester United are in Carling Cup semi-final action tonight. They lost the first leg 1-0 away at Pride Park, so it's a must-win game if they want to reach the final. Sir Alex is set to name a young side, including Darren Gibson, Rodrigo Possebon, Rafael and Danny Welbeck. But the main surprise could be the inclusion of new signing Zoran Tosic. The 21-year-old wasn't expected to play for another 5 weeks, having not played much football since the Serbian season broke up in December, but it looks like he's impressed in the little amount of time he's been in the country. Ex-Wigan manager Chris Hutchings has become the new manager of League One side Walsall. Hutchings is a former player of the club, having made 40 league appearances in the early 90s. And now on to ice hockey. Manchester Phoenix are not having the best of luck at the moment. They now sit 5th in the league after playing the Belfast Giants. In rugby, former Wales captain Robert Jones has said that Sale Sharks scrum half Dwayne Peel will be regretting his move to the club. Peel was left out of the Wales Six Nations squad yesterday in favour of Ospreys' Mike Phillips. And Andy Murray remains unbeaten in 2009 as he moved into the second round of the Australian Open. What he didn't expect was for his opponent to retire after the match. 34-year-old Andrei Pavel pulled up with a back injury during the second set and has now called it quits. Murray will now face Marcel Granollers of Spain in the next round. Another Brit who made it through to the next round was Elena Baltacha. She beat Anna-Lena Gronfeld 6-1, 6-4 to now be the only British female left in the tournament. Well, that's all from me for now. Join me again later this evening. I'll have all the build-up for United's game against Derby County tonight.
Thanks, Sam. And for more of that, join Andy Crane from tonight at 5. Well, coming up in the lunchtime news, we'll be looking at a plan to reduce hospital waiting lists across Greater Manchester and still ringing up the years. The shopkeeper with 100 years of history behind him.
But we're here to sell what people want. A woman comes in for the kettle, the type of kettle she needs, we go out and get it, or Evelyn does.
Welcome back to Channel M's Lunchtime News. We're here every day between 12 and 1 with all of Greater Manchester's headlines. And you can always check out our reports online at channelm.co.uk. On there right now, kids in Wigan are voting for their favourite crossing guard in a competition dubbed Lollipop Idol. And take a look at the devastation caused by a weekend of strong winds. That's at channelm.co.uk. History will be made later with Barack Obama being sworn in as America's first black president. The ceremony takes place late afternoon our time in Washington, D.C. The event is attracting global interest, and community leader Donald Gale spoke to us about its importance on the Channel M Breakfast Show earlier.
I think for me it's about, it gives you hope, you know, whether you're black, white, Asian, it allows you to be saying, I can do it, I've got a chance. And my example, a quick example would be my own daughter who came to me last year saying she's never seen a black teacher, so I can't be a teacher. You know, unless she sees something visual, she won't believe she can do it. Now, by him becoming the president, it allows people to think, you know, I can do anything. And that's at a very community level, so it makes people believe in themselves.
And while the changeover of leadership happens across the pond, there will also be celebrations closer to home. This evening, the Urbis Museum in central Manchester will be hosting an event examining how Barack Obama's presidency can inspire communities here in Manchester. Now, two of Greater Manchester's most senior police officers were caught up in an attempted armed robbery at a McDonald's in Eccles. The pair, who were off duty at the time, managed to foil the attackers' plans.
Duty breakfast meeting to discuss neighbourhood policing turned into a major drama for Assistant Chief Constable Dave Thompson and his colleague Chief Superintendent Jeanette McCormack when two masked men brandishing a knife and a machete burst into the McDonald's branch on West One Way early yesterday morning. Assistant Chief Constable Thompson, who wasn't in uniform as he was due to attend a self-defence course later in the day, shouted at the raiders while Chief Superintendent McCormack dialed 999. A statement from Assistant Chief Constable Thompson has described the incident as frightening for everyone in the restaurant. He added, "When I shouted at one of the men, he turned around and produced a large knife, so I made an assessment that to tackle him could have put myself in danger. I would like to praise the actions of the staff who were on duty at the time, who did exactly the right thing and kept calm during what was a very scary time for them." 3 McDonald's employees in the restaurant at the time locked themselves into a storeroom, while the police officers followed the raiders out of the building to log the registration plate of the pair's getaway car, a black Mini Cooper that was later found abandoned on Somerset Close in nearby Ordsall. Nothing was stolen in the raid, and Chief Constable Peter Fahey said the pair, who were not on operational duties, had shown great presence of mind and courage.
A large mobile health clinic, the first of its kind in the country, has been launched in Rochdale in the hope of taking pressure off hospitals by treating thousands of patients each year. And as Ben Bland now explains, it's not just Rochdale that'll benefit.
The unit is made up of several huge trailers which are mobile and will be going to different locations around Greater Manchester. Let me just give you a quick tour inside. This is the reception area where patients arrive and register. The unit is open from 7:45 in the morning right through till 8 at night, and that includes Saturdays. The facilities include an ultrasound scanner through there which gives instant results. And the same with the X-ray, which is through here. Again, that gives instant results. Now, the unit expects to be able to deal with 80,000 patients every year. And the idea is that it adds to, rather than replaces, existing NHS services.
It's about additional services and gives people the choice of where they want to be treated. I think one of the keys around this is we'd expect people to be referred from their GP to come here, to have the diagnostics, to have the diagnosis, and in some cases have the minor treatments all within 4 weeks. And that's much quicker than we currently can actually manage.
Treatments available include general surgery, orthopaedics and urology. It will be open to treat outpatients, but not emergency cases from the start of February. In the meantime, some people took the chance to look around.
Very impressive, yes. It's quite wonderful. Much bigger than I ever anticipated.
Very impressive. It just sounds too good to be true, really. But if it all works, it's fantastic for the people of Rochdale. It's really good.
The unit costs about £20 million, but Greater Manchester's Primary Care Trusts have it on a 7-year contract, costing the Department of Health £172 million. It will move between 7 locations over the 7 years, spending a few days at a time in Bolton, Denton, Longsight, Oldham, Rochdale, Salford and Stretford. Just like the old field hospitals, instead of bringing the patient to the hospital, It's bringing the hospital a bit closer to the patient. Ben Bland, Channel M News.
A shopkeeper born in 1909, the year that Woolworths first opened its doors, has outlived the competition. 100 years on from his birth, Jack Yaff's still behind the counter of his store in Prestwich.
Over at Yaffe's household store, they've more reason to celebrate than most. Certainly, they're riding out the credit crunch, which is hitting all retailers. But in addition, Jack, the man who started the shop 75 years ago, has just celebrated his 100th birthday. And Jack says the key to success in business is the personal touch and customer service.
We're here to sell what people want. A woman comes in for the kettle, the type of kettle she needs, we go out and get it, or Evelyn does.
Evelyn, of course, being Jack's daughter-in-law who helps him keep an eye on the business.
We're not worried about the big boys. They come to us for something that they want, and they get it.
If you're lucky enough to have one of these general hardware stores in your community, you'll know that they're so good because they seem to have everything, don't they? Whether it's electrical ware or cookware or household goods, or if you want some drawing pins, they've got them. Toys, there's a tennis ball. And how about these? How sure are you that your local mega hyper supermarket would have these dolly pegs? Although Jack Yaffe's 75-year-old Prestwich store is riding the economic downturn, the great irony is that some of Jack's important suppliers have fallen victim to the credit crunch.
It is affecting us, there's no doubt about it. We can't get the goods we want.
Happily for Jack, customers definitely do want the goods he can get his hands on, which means Yaffe's looks well on the way to celebrating its 100th birthday 25 years from now. Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
Well, it's been a lovely winter's morning, so let's take a closer look at the weather now with Byron Evans.
Right, ladies and gents, I'm not going to mince my words. The weather this week is a bit like Marty Pello, wet, wet, wet. Today we can expect some wintry showers with a few sunny outbreaks. It's going to be more frequent with those showers across the northern part of the region and nearer to the coast. Showers will be extending inland for a time this morning, and temperatures are going to reach a maximum of 5 degrees Celsius, so hardly balmy. Now, a little bit later this evening, the temperatures will, of course, drop with a minimum temperature of -1 degree Celsius. Expect more wintry showers to most parts of the region. Some of these could be heavy and prolonged, leading to a bitter snow. So perhaps snow angels in the morning. Time will tell, my friends. Let's take a look at the rest of the week, and we'll start with Wednesday. And after a bright start to Wednesday, expect some heavy rain and strong winds, which will spread in from the west. Top temperatures again 5 degrees Celsius. If we ever take a look at the board here, we can see Thursday wet 1, Friday wet 3, and Saturday wet with a maximum temperature of 4. Right, see you for now.
You're watching Channel M's Lunchtime News. Our main headlines this afternoon. The world watches as Barack Obama draws ever closer towards being inaugurated as the next president of the United States of America. That's all from us, the Lunchtime team. Bye-bye for now.